Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. For this video, I'm going to seek to look at the outline of the EDPM SBA, the various assignments, and the portfolio, otherwise known as a reference manual, and what is required for each. I'm also going to spend some time on the portfolio mark scheme, as I realize that many persons tend to complicate this mark scheme and not fully understand it, and as such students tend to lose out on a lot of marks or are awarded marks when they do not deserve it. So please follow me as we go through this video together. Alright, so here we have the SBA outline. Now the EDPM SBA consists of 4 sections, each valuing 25 marks and adding up to a total of 100 marks. This includes Assignment 1, Assignment 2, Assignment 3, and the portfolio, otherwise known as a reference manual. After completing all 4 aspects of the SBA, candidates will have acquired 40% of their CSEC grade. Now let's look at the individual assignments. Assignment 1. This is a speed test given to candidates that should be done under test conditions. It can be anything, a letter, a manuscript, a program, etc., just as long as it is done under test conditions. Note, however, that once this document is used for the assignment 1, it cannot be used in the portfolio as one of the pieces. Alright, if it is placed in the portfolio, then the marker, when he or she is marking your SBA, will have to decide if they're going to use that manuscript, for example, for the portfolio, which will just be maybe 1 or 2 marks, or they're going to use it for your assignment 1, which will be the 25 marks. But please bear in mind, whatever you use for your assignment 1 should only be for your assignment 1, and a separate document placed in your portfolio for that same heading. Note also that while the other assignments, which are assignments 2 and 3, along with your portfolio, can be done more than once, until the candidate gets it right, the assignment 1 can only be done once. Alright? So bear that in mind. Assignment 1 is a one-shot thing. Once you have done it, you can never redo it or adjust the mark. But assignment 2 and 3, along with your portfolio pieces, can be done as many times as you want to, as many times that the teacher can afford to remark until the correct or the desired result is achieved. Now we will take a look at the requirement for assignment 2. Now assignment 2 is an electronic research. It can be in the form of a project, which is a report, right? A brochure, a PowerPoint, etc. It should, however, and please bear this in mind, it should have something known as in-text citation, where the source from a book is quoted within the document. Also, you need to ensure that it has a bibliography, and that bibliography is written in the APA format, right? With at least 3 sources of varying types. Right? Maybe 2, 3, but I say 3. Alright? 3 sources of varying types. What do I mean by varying types? So you need to have a book source and you need to have online sources as well. Alright? And if there's anything else, maybe you get a newspaper article or something, you quote that as well. But varying types of sources. Please note that a spreadsheet of itself cannot work as an assignment tool. It must have a research component to it. Alright, it must have a research component. To hand in a spreadsheet by itself will be detriment for the students because that cannot carry 25 marks. Note that it is termed a research paper. And so having a spreadsheet, which is a table with information in and of itself, will not suffice. Alright, so the assignment 3 should be done in the form of a presentation. For example, a PowerPoint presentation, or you may choose to give the students a brochure. But whatever the decision is, it should be in the form of a presentation. So there is no need to give the students 2 and 3 different types of document. For example, a flyer with a menu, with an invitation or something of the sort. No need for so many documents for the 125 marks. One document is enough. And if you're ever in doubt, stick to a PowerPoint presentation. Alright, so let us now look at the portfolio, aka reference manual. Now this should have a cover page and a title page. Note that they are 2 separate things. Alright, a cover page is different from a title page. There are many persons who will give up a cover page and think that that can suffice as a title page. No, it can't. A title page carries a mark in and of itself, and if there's no page headed title page, then the candidate cannot get that mark. Right? It should also have a table of contents that has all document heading properly labeled and pages numbered accordingly. Now for me, I ensure that once I see a student's table of content, if they say to me that their circular letter is on page 3, I quickly flick over to page 3 to see if I see a circular letter, because the pages must be numbered to align with what is on the table of content for the candidates to get that 1 mark. If the students do not number their pages, then I cannot give a mark for table of content. And also, please ensure that the information in the table of content coincides with what is on the documents. So a student can't put in the table of content 2-page block style letter, but when you go to that letter, it is an indented style letter. Whatever is written on the heading on those various documents should be the same information that is placed there in the table of content. And if they don't relate to each other, then a mark cannot or should not be awarded for a table of contents. Now the portfolio should also consist of 10 pieces of mailable documents. What do I mean by mailable documents? It means that the documents should be error-free. Now EDPM is a subject that deals with perfection. And you have to develop the eye for the subject. See something and know when it is wrong. Right? Even if there is not the correct spacing after a full stop. EDPM teaches 2 spacing after a full stop in a sentence. Right? And if you're not seeing that, then the document is off. Alright? And so the document must be perfect to the T. 1 error and it is wrong. So please bear that in mind. Now the document should be properly headed with the name of the document and the candidate's name being placed in the header. And I have here preferably at 0.3 inches. Why I say preferably at 0.3 inches is because if the candidates are doing their letterhead, their 2-page letter, a letterhead starts at 0.5 inches, right? And so the candidate needs to head up that document. To head the document to say 2-page letter and the candidate's name, Diedre-Ann, for example, that will have to be away from the letterhead. So if that is placed at 0.3 inches, then you'll have a 0.4. At 0.4 inches, there will be a space to separate it from the letterhead that will start at 0.5 inches. Alright? But there's never a time when the heading should be in the letterhead. So you can't have my name mixed up in the letterhead of the company. That is wrong. So I say preferably at 0.3 inches. And then I teach the students that once they do that for the letter, just follow through with all their documents and put everything at 0.3 inches in the header. They can't go wrong. Now I have here, this should be on all 10 pieces of documents and only need to be placed on the first page of each document. So with the 2-page letter, the candidate's name and the name of the document should only be placed on page 1. On page 2, their name and the name of the document should not be on that page. It should only be on the first page, irrespective of the amount of pages that that document carries. And finally, there should be a bibliography, otherwise known as a reference page. All right, and this should also be attached, stating all the sources used to obtain documents to type for the portfolio. So wherever the candidate would have gotten information to place in the portfolio, that should be stated in the bibliography. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go over to Microsoft Word and I'm going to show some examples of things that I just mentioned a while ago for the portfolio, as well as to look at the portfolio mark scheme to get a better idea of what it is that I just said. All right, so here we are in Microsoft Word and I have opened my mark scheme. This is a mark scheme that I use to mark my students' portfolio. Right, I place their name and their registration number on it, but that's not what we're going to be focusing on. So here I have accuracy and speed. 1 mark for each of the 10 documents typed accurately. I'm going to come back to that in a bit. Now let us look at the section known as knowledge and comprehension. It says that there needs to be a description of all the components. And if they have a description of all the components, that is 2 marks. If they have a description of at least 50% of the components, then that is 1 mark. Now, what do I mean by that? Let us take a look on a document. All right, here I have a notice and agenda being opened on the screen. Now, I just mentioned that if there's a description of all 10 components, then the candidate will get 2 marks. If there's a description of at least 5 or more, 5 to 9 of those components, the candidate will get 1 mark. If they have less than 5, right, 1 to 4 or none at all, no mark. What am I talking about as it relates to the description? I'm speaking about placing the name of the document and the candidate's name in the header. I just spoke about that where I said that it's preferable, right? It will be better for them to place this information at 0.3 inches in the header, but it must be there, right? So we're looking out for all 10 documents having this information on it, then the candidate will receive 2 marks. If they have 5 to 9 documents with the information, what is the information? The name of the document and the candidate's name across from it. 5 to 9 documents with that on it, they will receive 1 mark. But if they have 1 to 4 documents with that information or no document at all with this information, then they will receive 0. Okay, let's get back to the portfolio mark scheme. All right, so here we are again with the mark scheme. Now we are at title page. Title page values 1 mark. And I noted earlier that there is a distinction between a cover page and the title page. Let me show you what it is that I'm talking about. All right, so here I have a cover page. The cover page will state the name of the subject, right? Electronic Document Preparation and Management School-Based Assessment. It will give a picture. Note that it should not be a picture of the candidate, but a picture related to the subject. And then it will have information about the candidate, right? Their name, their number, their center number, teacher, territory, and year of exam. But take a look now at the title page. I have 2 formats here. So I have title page being the heading, and then I have this school-based assessment is presented to the Caribbean Examination Council in partial fulfillment of the requirements of the course. And then I have the name of the course being placed there, right? And the name of the candidate. So subject, by, and the candidate name and the candidate number, of, and then you will have the name of the school. So I have here the Knowledge Center, that's the name of the school, the year, and then approved by, and the name of the teacher. So that's the format I have for the title page. I have another format. So title page, it says this school-based assessment is submitted in partial fulfillment of the Caribbean Examination Council Electronic Document Preparation and Management Examination. And then I have here the name of the candidate, registration number, center number, teacher's name, territory, and year of exam. And that is it. All right, so you can just browse again to see what it is, but you can always refer back to the video to get an idea of how the title page should be constructed. All right, now let's get back to the portfolio mark scheme to finish up. Okay, so then we have the table of contents and the bibliography, but I have already explained those two, so let's continue with the rest of the mark scheme. Presentation and use of technology. Now here we have the 10 pieces being outlined. There are some aspects where the candidate has a decision whether he or she wants to do either or. So the first one says a 2-page blocked style letter or a 2-page indented style letter. All right, so you do either one. You have here whether you want to do a circular letter or a form with a tear-off slip. Either you want to do a play, a report, or a specification. One of those 3 forms of manuscripts. So decisions are there to be made. But please, I'm asking both teachers and students alike, do not do any document that is not stated here in the mark scheme. This is the same mark scheme that CXC uses and what each school is expected to use. All right, and so please do not put any document in this portfolio that is not here. And the ones that are here, please bear this in mind. Each document carries 2 marks. So this is a part of the mark scheme that persons need to understand. Let me take my time. Each document carries 2 marks. 1 mark to have the document and 1 mark to get it right. So if I take up a portfolio to mark and the student has a block style letter, I will put 1 mark here. If the student has a circular letter, I will put 1 mark here. All right? 1 mark here. Let me put that there. 1 mark here. Put that. If the student does not have a manuscript, it is a 0. Right? And I will continue down the line. So they will have all of these. All right? So maybe they don't have that one. Flow chart or organizational chart, no. And they will have the others. So the students have some and they don't have some. What do I do? I will now add up all the documents that the students handed in their portfolio out of the 10 pieces. So I will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the students would have gotten 7 out of the 10 documents. Right? Now, of the documents that the students have handed in, how many of them are correct? So they can hand in 7 documents, but they are not all correct. If the document is correct, then the teacher is expected to put a tick to the bottom right of the document to sign and date that it is correct. So as you go through with each document, once you spot an error, a spelling error, a typo error, spacing, whatever error you spot, once an error exists on the document, it is automatically incorrect. But if the student has a document, they will get the 1 mark. Now, say the student handing 7 pieces in their portfolio, but when I go through, I only find 2 of them that is error-free and so-called mailable according to CSEC. What do? I will now go up to the top of the mark scheme, and it says 1 mark should be awarded for each of the 10 documents that is typed accurately, meaning it is mailable, no error at all. Then I will place 2, because the student would have only gotten 2 out of the 7 correct. All right? And note also that the student would have handed in 7 out of the 10 documents, and as such, I cannot award the students 2 marks for having a description of all the components. So if they handed in a 7 and all 7 of them would have been headed up properly, then the student would have received 1 mark. Because to have all 10 pieces properly headed would be 2 marks. Less than 10, which is 5 to 9, will be awarded with 1 mark. which is what I have here. So you cannot say you have 7 documents here and then you put 2 marks up here. That is contrary. You cannot say you have 7 documents here that the student would have handed in, but yet say when you come to accuracy, the student gets 10 out of 10. That is contrary. And so teachers, please, I'm asking you, I tried my best to make this video as simple as I can. All right. And so I hope that it was detailed enough so that the misconceptions, right, and inaccuracies that teachers would have had when they're marking the portfolio does not exist for this year's exam. All right. So please, I'm asking, and I think that would have covered everything. Right. And then you will go through now and add up how many the candidate would have gotten out of the 25. All right. And that is it. I do hope that this video was very informative. I do hope that you learned something from it and that you can share it with someone else. I hope it was detailed enough to your liking so that you can give it a big thumbs up. All right. And please share it with others and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed. Thank you very much for watching and see you in my next upload.